Microphone is off. I'm muted. Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of The Author Speaks. This month for June, we'll be featuring children's book authors. And today we have a special guest here for you, Miss Lisa Jacovsky. I hope I got that right, Lisa. And we just want to welcome her. She has a really good children's book and a really interesting topic that we want to talk about. It's autism and friendship. I don't want to give the story away. I want her to tell you about it. But I know April is Autism Month, but I think we should always talk about that, should always be a part of the conversation year round. And Lisa is just going to talk to us about it. So we're very excited to have Lisa. But before we get in to meet Lisa, I just want to do some PSAs, some announcements, just so you know. It's coming around maybe 5 weeks away. We have the ninth annual Independent Authors Book Expo, with our theme this year being Cannonball into Literacy, Dive into a Good Book. We're so excited. We are partnering with Mayor Derek Armstead and the Linden Public Library to host this event this year. Again, this is a free event for the community, so we want you to come out and be a part of it. We have authors coming from all across the United States and some internationally. So you don't want to miss it. We have about 42 authors and vendors who are going to be there sharing their books, different genres, you name it. We'll have it: cookbooks, children's books, fiction, nonfiction, um, religion. There's just going to be an awesome amount of authors there. We will also have workshops um, with financial literacy. We have one for the to build better readers. We'll also have prizes and giveaways. We have the children's corner where we have the children's book authors reading to the children. So you don't want to miss it. We have giveaways, prizes, and surprises. It's always a good time at the Book Expo. So definitely come out. And we want to also thank some of our sponsors: Union County Board of Commissioners. We have Bank of America. We have Columbia Bank. We just want to say thank you to them ahead of time and just say, continued support from them. We're really appreciative. So come out. It's going to be Saturday, August 6th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Thank you. I hope to see you there. And you can check out our website. Our website is at www.iabx.org to see all the awesome authors who will be participating. They're going to be signing their books. Books are for sale. They're going to be signing their books. So you definitely don't want to miss that. We have a great lineup this year. So without further ado, we are going to bring on Miss Lisa. Hi, Lisa.
Hey. Hi, Renee. Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you for being here. We're so excited to talk to you and hear a little about your story, your book, and your journey. So, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am Lisa Jacovsky. I am the author of the Let's Talk series that currently has 2 books. They are about inspiring children and breaking boundaries in friendship and showing families that little ones with autism can do it too. Book 3 actually comes out in July, so I'm very excited. Yeah, I cannot wait. It's a beautiful, vibrant book. It's gonna be so much fun. And I use a lot of my experience and applied behavior analysis in my book. So I show some things that people might not realize, which I
Mhm.
love, love, love too. I currently work in early intervention, and I'm also a professor of psychology.
Oh, wonderful. So
Yeah.
you're taking the whole gamut of
Yeah.
yeah. Do you really take into the to context everything that has to deal with the whole person, so to speak?
Yeah. It's really
Okay.
fun.
Okay, so if a parent is listening, what would inspire them beyond it being a book that talks about autism and friendship? Can you just give us a little bit of information about the book?
Absolutely. So each book has a different activity, and that's probably be the biggest inspiration to families to want to read the book, whether you go to the library or you buy it. Each one has different activity. First one is the pool, second one is zoo. So you're also showing kids these different fun activities they can do. And then when they read it, they get this amazing story about friendship. One little one has autism and cannot actually speak, but she can read and write. And it's
Okay,
so inspiring to show these families that this boundary does not have to stay there of not being able to communicate. And it's
right.
great for families and parents too to start that conversation with their little ones to ensure that they're open to any little one. And it's also great for families that have little ones with autism, that have those nieces, nephews, grandkids, because it's going to show them more about that little one, things that they didn't know, things they didn't realize. It can inspire that family to take their little one to the zoo. It can inspire
Mhm.
that family to teach them to swim. They're beautiful, vibrant illustrations. That's one of the things that always get complimented on by kids and families that read my books.
Mhm.
And the story itself, that's what children really gravitate towards. They especially gravitate towards the cover of book one, Let's Talk, a story, Autism and Friendship, about the pool. But they
Mhm.
really love seeing the animals in book two when they go to the zoo. So, for any family listening, if you have any doubts about your little one, maybe they're showing signs and you're not sure and you just want more information, these books are also for adults. They're great educational tools. They're a
Okay.
simple way to understand autism, and they're a really great way to show you the beauty that is autism. So, for any families listening, it's a really great, fun book, but it also can be very educational.
Okay. And for what's the age range? Because I
Mhm.
know even though it's parents will be reading it to the children, but what's the age range for this book for
I
children?
would say about 4 to 8 years old. I did a reading on Saturday and I had an almost 3-year-old there that absolutely loved it.
Mhm.
Sometimes if they're younger, they're going to enjoy the illustrations more. And
Mhm.
what I do if they're younger like that is I make up my own story with the illustrations. And then you
Yeah.
can keep it for later on to start that conversation about little ones that are different.
Okay. And I think it's good to not only for your children, but children in school to
Yeah.
start to get comfortable with children who are autistic, because I think, before, prior to um oh, you're autism or you're on the spectrum, you go over here, and then you're separated from gen ed classes, or that kind of thing. And I think now the conversation's a little bit different, where you realize, okay, he's on the spectrum or she's on the spectrum. They're really smart, but you know what, they don't like noise, or they're maybe different sensitivities that trigger or put them on the spectrum, if you will. So I think having those conversations with them is good. Um,
Thank
is
you.
your book the books in the series, in that all of them are in the age range at 5 to 8 age range?
Yes, I would say around 4 to 8 age range. The first book, there's a lot of text on some of the pages, but
Hmm.
I haven't found an issue with little ones reading it. I've done some school readings, and one of my favorite things about that is hanging out with the kids after. 'Cause they're like you were saying, we need to get that conversation going. And the kids would say, I have this friend who has autism. I have this one. And,
Hmm.
even though it does look like a lot of words, I haven't found the children to mind it at all. Book two can be a little more simple because it's not as many words, but I
Hmm.
have found children to really enjoy and love it from preschool all the way up to fifth grade.
Yeah. And I think it's good. I think it's funny because it's funny you said that. I did a career day for kids in the fifth and sixth grade, and I'm presenting as an author, and they said to me, I'm talking about, it, and they say, Mrs. Smith, are you going to read to us? And I was like, oh, you want me to read? Of course. And but they wanted me to read, and you would think at fifth
Oh,
grade,
yeah.
they're beyond that. So I whipped out the book and
Mhm.
started to read, and they were okay. They started asking questions. So
Aw.
it's good to e- even sometimes when you think they're past that age, they
Yeah,
still want to hear the stories. They still want to be read to,
exactly.
and be just be engaged. So I really still
Exactly.
enjoy doing that. Um, and I should say I'm a children's book author as well, so I really enjoy doing the readings with children because you get so much out of it. You know.
Yes, exactly. Just the conversations you have with them. I did a craft after mine and they were so cute. Like, look at my bookmark. It's rainbow for this.
Yeah.
I made this
Yeah.
symbol for autism. Like, children are so amazing and so much more versatile than adults give them credit for. And I
Absolutely.
love that the fifth graders wanted you to read the book because,
Yeah.
like you said, we expect them to want the phones, want the video games, want the tablets, and
Hmm.
that's something too that I'm hoping for is to inspire more children to want to read. I
Yes.
grew up reading and being a huge bookworm, and I still am. And if I can inspire children to continue to want to read through these books too, then I've
Hmm.
also done my job. It's really
Absolutely.
heartening to hear that.
Yeah, yeah, that really touched me too. And you just mentioned something, and I wanted to find out what was your inspiration to write this series? Because even though we're focusing on the book, what was your inspiration to write the series?
Oh, absolutely. I actually was inspired by an old client of mine who Emma is loosely based off of. And the mom had come home one day and said, my client had gone to the park and one of their friends was trying to teach my client how to swing on the swing, but my client wasn't understanding. That
Hmm.
client could read and write and was limited verbally. That client could actually talk. So that's
Okay.
where Emma's loosely based off of that client. But
Hmm.
it was kind of the nudge I really needed to write the book. I've always wanted to write something, just didn't know what. And that was a
Okay.
pattern I had been seeing that neurotypical children want to interact with little ones with autism, but don't know how. So I
Right.
started thinking, how can I help them to understand?
Yes.
This book can be a conversation starter between that
Hmm.
little one and their parent, just like Harper does with her mom. And that's really what the hope is, that they start that conversation and break those boundaries down. These
Right.
little ones, they want to interact with the other little ones with autism. They just don't know how because we're not helping them. And
Yeah.
that's really what the inspiration for this series was. And each one's a different activity because I worked with adults with developmental disabilities when I first got in the field, and I took
Hmm.
them everywhere. I rode
Okay.
roller coasters with them. I
Oh,
took
wow.
them to Crayola Factory. I took them apple picking. And I
Wonderful.
wanted to show families autism is not limiting. They can do
Right.
it too. So
Yeah.
that's why I decided to make each one a different activity as well. So that's really inspiration for it. It's all from my background, all from my experience.
And that's really good because in my district, we do have integration. So we
Yeah.
have children with disabilities in with the general education
Yeah.
population. And what we find is they would come to the auditorium, they have um, presentations and things like that. And they were also invited to be a part of it because they want to know what's going on too.
Yeah.
And I just distinctly remember because or the principal at the time, she was great. Um, she because some children had noise
The
bothered them or
headphones.
different things. So
Mhm.
instead of doing the clap, we did snaps,
Oh, I
or
love that.
so she did so many things so that they could be integrated
Oh,
into the
yeah.
population. They would come to sit and have lunch.
Yeah.
Kids were invited, as long as it wasn't disturbing, or their whatever it is that was their trigger, if you will. They could
Yeah.
come around and meet with them. So when they see them in the hallway, when if they're with their paraprofessional or whomever, they're like, hey, and then, and they communicate, and the others
Yeah,
go like hi. So they build up an understanding of how to interact with
exactly.
children, not only with autism but with special needs, because I think a lot of the times there's that fear, like,
I agree.
I don't know, and what they,
Yeah.
that kind of broke that down for the children in the school, so they were able to have dialogue or interact or know how to treat. So they grew up with each other,
And that's what
unless,
we need more of.
yes, yes, that interaction with children in that on the spectrum. um
Yeah.
And this, well, we talk about um, your inspiration, but why did you choose this genre? Because you did mention that you work with adults initially, so, and you may have touched on it a little bit, but why children's books?
I feel like if we can change that mindset of children and show them the positivity now, they can grow up to be adults that have that positivity. I was raised to be open to everybody, black, white, purple, gay, straight, bi, who cares, non binary. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why I wanted a children's book, is I want our children to grow up the same way that I did. I want
Mm-hmm.
them to be as open as I am to anybody. And that's really how we make a change in this world. Because if they grow up that way, we have this population that is open to anybody and everything. And they, raise their children that way. And then we make that change about the view of autism. There needs to be
Right.
more positivity about there. And we need to change that view. And the way to do it is really through our children.
Yes.
And I have been asked to write adult books and middle grade books. So maybe those will come in the future.
Yes.
You never know. I definitely have more series
Mm-hmm.
coming. I have more positive things coming when it comes to autism too. But I really believe starting with our children is the way to make a change in this world, especially around the view of autism.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that is so important. And with the writing, because as you're writing, what is the hardest part of, or have you found it to be hard writing the series? Like, was there a time where you like, you know, you had a hang up, or you're like, I'm not sure where I'm going with this?
I definitely have. And it's so interesting because I had that with book three. I had a vision for book three, and then I wrote it one way and I changed it back to what my original vision was. I kind of flip flopped between what I want to do for book three and what I was going to do for book five. And I finally settled on doing book three the way I did it and found a different way to do book five. So I think that's the only hang up I've really found. I kind of write when I get inspired, I don't force it. I'll
Mm-hmm.
even, and as an author, you get inspired at
Yeah.
weird times,
Yes.
driving in the cars,
Yes.
talking to a client at work. So,
Yes.
I kind
Absolutely.
of take notes as I go. And then all of a sudden I'll be like, oh my God, I really want to write. And I sit down and I do it. So I think for me, that's really the trick, is I don't try to force it or
Hmm.
block off specific times to write like some people do. And I know that works for them because maybe they're doing chapter books. That's easier.
Yeah.
But for me, it's been very, very easy to write. Things just kind of flow. And as long as I don't push things and just do it when I get inspired, I think it's gonna stay that way. So it's been pretty awesome. Really, really fun.
Yeah, and I can like co-sign um having things flow,
Yeah.
because I'm inspired when I get I write, and I d- um I have a writers group, and I encourage authors or writers to write every day. Um but at the same time, sometimes you're inspired, for children's book, it's 800 to maybe to 1500 words. So it's
Yeah.
not like, it's not a chapter book. It's a little different. So you can bang it out really quickly, you know. But again, the whole idea is um, to not force it. So I just kind of
Exactly.
let it happen. And when it happens, it's like literally, I remember my first children's book, The Great Compost Heap, and it literally came to me in a dream. The title came,
Yeah.
and it's pitch dark in my room, and I don't want to turn on the light, and I have a tissue box, and I'm scribbling on the side of the tissue box,
See?
and hoping that it makes sense when I get up. And I,
That's awesome.
and I was like, when I got up, I was like, I have to. And I got up and I'm ferociously typing on the computer. And I
Yeah.
was like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I need to get this. I just give me a minute.
Only other writers get it.
I just have to get it out. So he was like, and I had to, once I was done, and that book, that whole process for me, because I was just so inspired, took me from start to finish 4 months to write and publish the
See?
book. And because I was just really like
Yeah.
gung ho. Um, and then on the flip side, I had my fourth book
Uh-huh.
that I in the series. It came out. It took me 3 years to write.
Oh
Like I
my
wrote the
God.
story, and I was like, it's just not what I want to say. It's really not what I want
Exactly.
to say, and I had it and I put it down. In between that, I wrote two other books and published two other
Yeah.
books.
I've
And
done
then
the
I came
same
back and
thing.
like, this we gotta fix this. We have to fix this. So definitely, I completely get that whole inspiration thing. We have a Gisette. I want to say Gisette says hello.
Hi.
I don't know if you know Gisette,
Hi,
but Gisette is saying hi.
Lisa.
So hi,
How are you?
Gisette. Welcome. Welcome. And if you have any questions, Gisette, that you'd like to ask our author, please, you can type them in the chat and we will post them up and Lisa will answer. Excellent.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining.
Yes, wonderful. So we want to, are you a part of any writing groups? Um,
I'm a part of author groups. I'm not a part of writing groups just
okay.
because, like, I've seen some of the prompts. I have some author friends that put up prompts to kind of do. And I've done, I'm a part of Vocal, and I was doing like the short stories with their prompts, but it felt so forced. It
Okay.
just wasn't really me. So I like being a part of the author groups, connecting with other authors, other writers. That's a lot of fun to me.
Okay. And what kind of support do you get from these groups? Like, being a part of it.
Oh my gosh, so much support. The author community is so phenomenal. I am so grateful for them. I have made the most amazing author friends in the author community. Also through my podcast, No Limits with Lisa Jacovsky, I met the most amazing
Oh,
people. I promote their podcast. They promote my book. I had another author today. I posted in a group on Facebook that she had told me to join, and she commented saying, wonderful, is this Eastern time or Pacific? 'Cause I think she's in California,
okay.
so the support I get is amazing. I have mentors that are authors that I go
Mhm.
to for advice. I just had an author friend send me an advanced reader copy of her marketing book,
Oh,
which I'm
wow.
using ideas from. I love her to death. Diana Catherine from Pages Promotions. She is amazing. So I get so much support, and it's such a true blessing because I didn't discover these people until my second book. I didn't really
Okay.
discover these people until end of 2020, sometime in 2021, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't, part of where I am is from them because I've gotten so many ideas. They share my stuff. Arjo Graffi I love her to death in her books.
Okay.
She will message me on Facebook and be like, hey, I saw this post. Why don't you do this and this?
Oh, wonderful.
She helped me with my Kickstarter. So, I mean, I've met these people in person, but I've met them virtually. We've done Google Meets like this before,
Yeah.
and I just could not be more grateful for them. The support and just the positivity is so
Yeah.
phenomenal. It's amazing. It's such a true blessing. The author community it's incredible.
It is, and that's something that we try to foster here at IABX, because
Oh,
when we host events like these, the author speaks, or when we host our book expo, we've
Yeah.
had so many authors who have gone on to work with each other. They've done anthologies, they've
Ah,
edited books for each other. They've done so many things together. So, that is our wish, is that as authors participate in the events that we host, that they will, bridge, form these bonds that they can move with, that they can help to grow as authors, and share with each other, because sometimes you may know something that I don't. You've been down this path before. So you can definitely say, hey, why don't you do this or try this or do something else. So
exactly.
it definitely is a treat to be a part of these groups. And I know you mentioned, do you want to shout out? I know you mentioned your podcast. What is your
Yeah.
podcast about? And we're kind of but before you mention it, what is your podcast about?
So my podcast is called No Limits with Lisa Jacovsky. I interview individuals and organizations making a difference in this world, and I talk about different things in psychology and autism. My podcast comes out every 2 weeks, every other Wednesday. Is it this week? I think it's next week. An episode comes out. The new one comes out with an amazing author. Oh my gosh, Sivan Hong. I love her to death. I'm so excited for this episode to come out. So it's amazing to highlight these authors and individuals. I
Hmm.
just had on an organization called Rock Autism, where they teach individuals with autism how to play guitar, drums, and they actually put them on stage and do a concert.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's things like that I want to promote and get out there more.
Hmm.
And it's so heartening to see these amazing individuals that I didn't know about doing things like I am,
Right.
because you don't get told about these books. You don't get, I bought so many of their books. Oh my God, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I love all of their books, but you don't get told about these people. You don't get told about their books. And
Hmm.
I want to be that person who puts it out there more. These
Exactly.
are some of the most incredible authors and illustrators and nicest people and organizations that are incredible. So I want to promote that and put it out there. And that's why I
Yes.
call it No Limits, because when you have autism, you're not limited. You're only limited by your parent. So these organizations, these individuals, the information I put out there about autism and psychology, it's showing how unlimited these
Hmm.
individuals are. They can do anything. I've had one child author on, I'm having another one come on soon. I've had authors with autism come on.
Wonderful.
Sivan Hong is also neurodivergent with ADHD.
Okay.
I had Benjamin Giroux come on. He's 16, has autism, has an amazing book, I Am Odd. I can't
Oh,
say enough good things about his book, his journey,
wonderful.
his family. So if there's anyone out there doing something different, making a change that wants to come on, please contact me through my
Yeah.
email that'll come up at the end. I would love to have you on. I have so many interviews. I have interviews coming out till January. It's crazy. And I've had
Wonderful.
authors
Wonderful.
email me to come back on.
That's
so,
that's amazing.
yeah, it's been incredible. Pat Rulo is my mentor. She's my helper with this.
Hmm.
Um, she does the Firebird Awards. Can't say enough good things about her and her award. Or for her help with my podcast. And Michael John Sullivan has been a mentor to me about my podcast too. Like I wouldn't be where I am and I wouldn't know the authors and organizations and connections I do
Hmm.
without the author community and these people. It was Pat Rulo
Right.
that told me like, hey, you really need to do this.
Yeah. and
you know?
and that's that encouragement that that group
Yeah.
gives you, and being in that space, because I think now we're having a lot more books being written, and we're having a lot more people being open to the conversation, to having the conversation about autism, being in schools. And I'm really excited to have you here to talk about it, because one of the things is that, like you said, your book is for children ages 4 to 8, but we don't realize that, you know, um, children, um, they don't understand certain things, but they don't see the things we see.
Exactly.
They just see Lisa. Lisa is my
Exactly.
friend.
Exactly. don't see
You
the
know?
autism like we do. And that's why it's the best thing to start with children, because they still aren't tainted by the different things that might make you have judgments against
Mhm.
people like we are as adults. And as
Yeah.
adults, it can be difficult to change our mind about things. I'm lucky I've had really, yes, Josette, right? Because I worked with adults.
Yes.
I've gotten very lucky that the families I work with, that I've brought the conversation up with about either getting their child tested, or if it would help the family, telling them about my books. It's helped a lot. But I've
Mhm.
definitely had families I've worked with that I've had a lot of pushback from. So having these little ones that have no judgments, they could
Yes.
care less.
Yes.
They could be blue, purple, yellow, they
My
don't care.
friend. Everybody's my
Yeah, that's
friend.
all
And
they care about, is
yeah,
playing
so
together in the friendship. That's it.
absolutely. And being able to help them to understand how to interact the best way with their friend is also good for them.
Exactly.
I saw on Facebook there was a little girl, and she had, again, she's probably like 3 or 4, and her friend would come in, and the her friend is wheelchair bound, and she would come in every morning and she would wheel her in and she'd help her with, the
Oh,
teacher with her bag. And but she was so
yeah.
sweet, and it really just shows you that if you sometimes you don't even have to, it's innate, like it's
Yeah.
in them, we
Nothing has
kind of,
come in and changed them and changed their mind,
yeah,
And that's the beauty in children, really, the
yeah,
innocence of children.
absolutely. Josette has, she says, I work at a behavioral treatment facility
There we
and we have lots of
go.
clients that are autistic. Oh, wonderful.
That's
You
awesome,
see?
Josette. I know
Yeah.
exactly the type of place that you work at. I've been there. You are amazing, and I thank you for working with these individuals, because it's not easy. You must really love what you do.
Yeah, and thank you so much for being a part of our, our program. If you have a question for Lisa, Joseph, please, definitely, type it in. One of the things that, we want to, um, make sure is that we get the word out there, because I think what you find is that, even though as we do, the conversation is a lot, we're having a conversation a lot more, um there's still a lot that could be done.
Yes,
um you know
exactly.
Parents still don't know where to go, they don't know how to get the information, and they may
Yes.
get a part of it and they still can't get the other part, or you get to a point and, um I don't know where else to go. They don't have
Exactly.
the tools, because maybe in their family, there weren't any autistic children,
Yeah.
and your child is now the first one. So nobody knows how to deal with it. No one was able to diagnose. So someone is like, um, I don't know, what are you supposed to do?
I get
So
that all the time.
yeah, having books like these to say, okay, this is, maybe this is some, maybe, and it's one of the things I think is to that it's okay, because I
Exactly.
think that's a huge part of it too,
Yeah.
them not knowing that it's okay. um
Exactly. That's a huge part. And you bring up a really good point too, because when I talk about bringing my experience to it, in the books, there's something called PECS, Picture Exchange Communication System.
okay.
So these families can see that even if their child doesn't talk, they can talk a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Emma uses flashcards, or they can learn to write.
Yes.
Being nonverbal is not the end of the world. There's so many different ways that they communicate otherwise, and that's really the beauty of these books and of my
Yes.
podcast, of getting that information out there. Because the biggest thing I get from my families is, where do I go next? What do I do?
Yes.
And I'm like, I got you. I got lots of resources. Don't worry.
Yes.
We got this.
Yes. And one of the things we will, I don't know if you have this on your website, Lisa, but, one of the things we will share Lisa's, information at the end. So if you want to contact her, email her, talk to her, if you have children with autism, and, you want to get more information, or you want, books or things of that nature, definitely. you can reach out to Lisa to get that. Yeah. Just that says they
See,
use that
Josette
technique.
knows. Yeah,
Yeah.
Pegs. You are
You're in
more
good
than welcome
company,
to reach
Lisa.
out.
Jessette is here and she knows, she knows.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Exactly. I'm so glad you're able to join us and, chime in about this stuff too, because there's so much that families don't know because I shouldn't say only, but there's too much negative put out there. The beauty, the good that is autism, the resources that are out there, they're not promoted enough. And I always tell even other authors, and I tell my families, even after the age out of early intervention, you have my information. Please contact me. I will help you in any way I can, anytime. And that goes for any family that suspects or has a little one that's on the spectrum, just got the diagnosis or trying to get the diagnosis. I'm always here. You can contact me anytime for help.
and I know we didn't mention it, but where are you located, Lisa?
I'm in Jersey too. I was actually thinking, like, I wish I could go to the expo. I'm actually
Ah,
going to be out of town.
you can still come on. We still have maybe one or two spots left. So if you want to definitely sign up. Not,
I wish
not
I could. I'm going to be out of town.
oh no. But even
I
still, we
know.
still your information will be on our website so people can check you out and see
Thank you.
find your information. Um, but I know, one of the things we the books and I just want to kind of go back to the books. Are there we know it's a series, but are there specific characters that you have that you walk through?
So in the first book, we have Harper who narrates. She's neurotypical and she befriends her new best friend Emma, who has autism. And then in book two, I introduce a new character, a little boy named Jerry, who learns about autism from Harper because bullies come around, and he realizes autism is cool and people should not bully them. He becomes friends with the girls and he goes on every experience after. So you're going to see Jerry in book three. It's amazing because book four is about the holidays. So each little one celebrates a different holiday, and I can kind of bring in stuff other than Christmas because there's just so much influx of Christmas. It's great
Hmm.
to kind of showcase something different having three characters. And
Right.
it's fun because five is going to be about dance, and you can put a boy in dance class to kind of break down those gender roles.
Yes.
So I do introduce new characters almost in every book. There's a lot of diversity, and I do that on purpose, because we need more diversity, more
Yeah.
culture in our books too. So I'm very excited about all that new stuff.
Absolutely. Excellent. Josette was asking what area. Do you want to know what area she works in, Josette? Because she said she's in Pennsylvania. What town or area or county? So I'm not clear. So if you can just clarify, then we can get that information. I think we're making a connection here, Lisa.
Yeah, I was gonna say she should email me. We should totally connect and like talk about work and see if there's anything I can help her. She can help me with. Please email me, Josette. It'd be amazing.
Yes,
Any
stick
way I can
around,
get
Josette.
more
We'll give you that
resources.
information at the end, and we'll also post it on our website, iabx.org. So we'll definitely get that for you. Um, And one of the things that, as we're writing and we're doing, and you may know this already, but there are, because this is in your field, but a lot of the authors, what do you learn about yourself when you're writing this book? Or what have you learned about yourself?
I've learned about myself that I'm a lot stronger than I thought I am. Even when I was teaching, I started teaching in January, and I was telling the students, if you had told me when I was your age, I would get up and read books in front of a school, I would be doing live interviews, that I would be doing readings, I would tell you, you are out of your mind.
Hmm.
I used to hate public speaking. I would be terrified. I was that person that would give a presentation in class about a paper or assignment or whatever, and I go beet red, So I've matured and grown so much,
Yeah.
and I've learned that, I'm a lot more comfortable doing things that used to scare me.
Hmm.
And I'm so passionate about seeing change in this world that I've really learned you can push forward, you can work hard, and you can do it. You
Yeah.
know, because when it comes to writing, you're always told, even like with journalism, it's so hard to break into, you can't make money, blah, blah, blah. But I definitely learned that, if I'm determined enough, I'm going to
Yeah.
do it. And whether it makes
Yes.
me money or not, I'm going to make that difference in the world. So I've
Absolutely.
definitely learned a lot about my strength, about myself. And
Mhm.
I'm very proud of how I've matured through the writing process. And
Yes.
it's definitely been a process, but I'm very proud of myself for that. And it's just very exciting to see where it continues to go. Thank you.
Yeah.
Because I definitely, like, I was that girl on ratemyprofessor.com picking the easiest, public speaking class in
Yeah.
college, and now here I am, many
You
years
have a
later.
podcast,
No,
the whole
I never
shebang,
thought I
you
would do
know?
a podcast. I hate talking on the phone. I hate my voice on the phone, but I'm doing a podcast, So it's really amazing to see how much I've grown and how much stronger I've gotten. And so, I'm very, very proud of myself and where I've come from. And I hope it's inspiring others too, that they can do it as well.
Yeah.
They can hear my story, my journey, and realize that, just because it makes them nervous or scared, they can do
Mhm.
it too. They can break that boundary down and they can make that change in the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because, it's there's so many things that can scare you. This is a scary world. And you
Yes.
know, it's one of the books that I read, Freddie's First Race, talks about perseverance. When you said that,
Yes.
it was the mantra in the book is work hard, stay focused, and never give up, and you can achieve your dreams. So when you said that, it was like, oh, I hear Freddie, because Freddie has a lot of
Yeah. I want
he
that book.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
It's
send me the info. I'll buy it. Yeah.
each of my books has a message, and just
I
like
love
your books have a message for each child, or you're focusing on a different aspect of it. For me as a writer, I have three things that I want to do with my books. I want to entertain, inform, and inspire. So
Oh,
I
you
want
need to come on my podcast. You're coming on my podcast. Already
you
decided.
book me, call me, tell me when you have a song, because I know you're booked until next year, but tell me
That's
when you're
all right.
free.
We'll do it after this. I got a Calendly. I'm starting interviews again in August. We're good.
Awesome, awesome. But it's good. That's what we're here for, to really
Exactly.
inspire our young people
Yeah.
to do good things, and we want to get them, whether it's talking about autism or whether it's talking about yourself persevering or doing good things in the community. We want to inspire them. And we start young, because we start with children's books. So we try to catch them, we try to snatch them up really early with our books.
Yeah.
So definitely really good about that. And what advice, because we're talking about writing and you getting over some of these fears,
Yeah.
what advice would you give to an aspiring author, you know coming in, whether they want to write about autism or they want to write about something that, I don't want to say taboo, but think something that people don't really talk about? What advice would you give to that author?
Do it anyways. My best advice is block out the noise and do it anyways. When I was writing this book, and even putting autism in the title, my family had reservations. They're like, are people
Oh,
going to
wow.
buy that word in the title? And I've
Interesting.
definitely seen, online, book two sells better, but in person, book one sells better. So it's very interesting.
Which one is book one? What's the title for book
The book
one?
one is a story of autism and friendship, and book two is going to the zoo.
Oh, so you're
Yes.
saying book two does better?
Book two does better online, and then book one does better in person when I'm selling it. I'm at like a library event or
Yeah.
a street fair. So it's very interesting, and I'm the kind of person, I'm very determined. I'm not going to let anything stop me once I put my mind to it. So,
Hmm.
I kind of just blocked all that out and was like, what comes, what comes. I'm going to
Yeah,
try it anyways. If it doesn't work, at least I know I tried it and I made a dream
absolutely.
come true. And
Absolutely.
lo and behold, I'm very blessed. It has worked. And that's my best advice to a writer. If you want to do it, do it. Don't let
Yeah,
anyone stop you. Don't listen to the
absolutely.
noise. With
Hmm.
my first book, I actually didn't tell anybody. The only person I told was my aunts. I didn't tell my parents, my family, nobody. And I literally one day, I was in Florida with my family. I had all my family there, but my parents. And I sat at the table and I was like, I got something to tell you guys. And I just out with it. I had texted my parents this morning. I was like, don't tell my grandmother. Don't tell me I'm going in.
Yeah.
And let me tell
Wow.
them. And I just literally just like, I wrote a book, it's getting published, and that was it.
Yeah.
So you can take that strategy too, if you get
Absolutely.
like hybrid offers, or if you decide to go the self-publishing route, maybe keep it to yourself, keep it special like that. I didn't even show anybody illustrations. I did nothing. I showed nobody nothing until the book was published. And I did it on purpose because I wanted to like surprise and shock everybody.
Yeah, and sometimes it's interesting because I had so even though I write in the children's book genre right now, I started with cookbooks.
Oh
So so I
wow.
started with a
Oh my
dessert cookbook,
gosh.
and then I wrote another
Wow.
book. So while I was
That's
doing the
amazing.
first book, I love to bake.
Yeah, that's amazing. Oh my gosh. Good for you.
So I started with the dessert cookbook, so I hadn't finished it yet, but I had an idea for a second book,
Oh,
and I started working. It just had me laughing and just had so much fun. And you're like, someone
yeah.
was like, "You didn't even finish the first one, and you're working on the second one." And I was like,
Oh,
"But
yeah.
it was literally writing itself.
Yeah.
I had so much fun.
Exactly.
It just wrote itself." And would I tell you, because I'm originally from Jamaica,
Oh.
and the book is called, my first book is Jamaica's Forgotten Treats. My second book is Ember
Oh,
When. But that's the book that won an international award, the best first cookbook
see?
for Jamaica. And I was like, if I hadn't
Interesting.
pushed through, that would
Yeah.
never happen. So definitely block out the noise,
Yeah.
go for it. Go for it.
Exactly. If that's what you want to write, no matter what it's about. And I want the names of those cookbooks too, because I love making desserts.
You know,
Oh
it
my
is
gosh.
it is so, my mantra is, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for?
Exactly. I have this on my arm, which is Hebrew for to believe, and it's to remind me to believe
Mhm.
and keep forward. I believe there's always a way. No
Yeah,
matter what it is, no matter what the obstacle is, there's always a way to figure it out.
yeah,
And writing about autism, I had no clue how I was going to be taken, if I was going to even sell a single book. And like it's so like negative sometimes, and I'm so grateful. I thank God every day for this blessing of being able to write these books.
yes.
And I literally text my family and my friends, and I'm like, I'm so thankful for you, because the support I get from them, it
Hmm.
is so incredible. None of my friends knew, except for my old best friend from high school, knew I like to write.
Yeah.
None of them knew I like to write,
Wow.
so, and with writing, you're putting your heart and soul out there. It's very
Absolutely.
scary,
It is. It
so
is. You
you can
build,
be
you develop a thick skin.
by the yes, you need to. And if you get a bad review, how are you going to handle that? But
Yes,
the reception, it can be so much better than you think it is. So I just
absolutely.
encourage everyone, take that chance,
Yeah,
do it.
yeah,
What's the worst going to happen? You make your dream come true.
yeah.
That's the
And
best thing that can ever happen, whether you sell a book or not. You make
you
your
get
dream
to
come
share.
true.
Yeah, and you get to share, because one of the things
Yeah,
um that I like is that you were able to um open the door for someone else with talking
exactly.
about autism, because
Yeah,
I'm sure there are so many parents who are saying thank you, because I didn't know how to talk to my little one about this, or I didn't know how to talk to my I didn't know how to deal with it myself.
yeah.
And one of the things I wanted to ask you too, in terms of the book, do you find that and I don't know how the book is like, because I haven't purchased a copy. I will,
That's
because I do
okay.
have, but I wanted to know how do parents, is there a section, even though the story is for children, is there a section where the parent can have, there's something for them that they can
Yeah.
pinpoint?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And I think it's really the part where Harper's mom explains what autism is.
Okay.
Because my grandmother, who's going to be 90 years old, I will
Oh, God
never
bless her.
forget this. She said to me, I never understood autism until your book. And
Oh,
I will
wow.
never forget this. And then I had
Wow.
another family that I worked with. The mom was open to the fact her daughter was autistic, but her mother and her mother was not, and her aunt was kind of on the fence.
Mhm.
She bought my books. She bought them on Kindle, read them, and the aunt was like, she started crying. She loved it. She's like, I understand her so much more. And it started
Wow.
opening up the mom to the idea a lot more with the little one too.
Right.
So it's written from a kid's point of view, and it's written in a kid's voice. But adults can really learn so much from these books. And it's just, I never ever thought to get the reception from adults that I have. And I'm so
Mhm.
grateful because there's so many families out there that really need to start that conversation, need to get past the denial. And they love their nieces, nephews, grandkids, and
Yes.
if this will help them build that relationship more with them, then
Mhm.
I've done my job as an author.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because well he's my gosh, my cousin, I do have a cousin that's autistic,
Oh,
and
that's
he is
amazing.
um he's it's my cousin's son. He is, I want to say, 26 or 10, so he's
Yeah.
older, and it was interesting because, again, we never had anyone in the family who was autistic. So have learning to um, interact with him. The younger cousins were able to interact with him. And, again, learning the triggers that, okay, you know, he doesn't like this, you don't do this, and, and how to play with him so he can, he doesn't have to sit off to the corner. He can be a part of whatever is going on. And I think that, or the cousins developed a level of, I don't want to say tolerance, but they knew how to interact with him, and it came from a place of love. Like
Exactly.
he wasn't like, oh well, he's autistic, he can't play with us. They were
Yeah.
always trying to include him, or they would modify the game so he could be a part of it. You
Yeah,
know,
that's what
so
we have.
yes,
Oh, that's
so
amazing.
as the quicker or the sooner we get past
Yeah.
certain things, the easier it will be for the families and the children to be able to just live, for want of a better word.
Exactly. And it would
Yeah,
decrease bullying, it would increase acceptance. We would
yes.
have, less people, having issues from mental health from it, going into depression from it.
Hmm.
We would have more beauty in this world. They would be able to do more amazing things. They would reach the potential and live these fulfilling lives and do incredible things like Benjamin Giroux, who's autistic and, writing books. They can do things like that. And,
Hmm.
if we have that acceptance and that openness, we would have so much more beauty in this world. And that's what
Yeah,
this world really needs more
yeah.
of.
Removing the barriers and removing the
Yeah.
limits, and putting, locking people in boxes, and like, oh, this is where you need to be and this is all you
Yes.
can do. I think once we remove those barriers for them, it becomes, that conversation is just a different conversation. I may not be able to do it the way you do it, but I can do it differently, you know.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be exactly like I do. It could be your own way. And that's really the great thing about these books. And,
Hmm.
I do a craft after when I do events and I do an animal, but I'm not doing it in the specific color of the animal. They're all different colors and I let them
Yeah,
choose it. And I do it
right.
on purpose because not one box fits all. Not
Exactly.
one color fits all.
Hmm.
So the way I do it might not work for you, but you can find your way to do it. And that's the
Absolutely.
beauty about being different. And I want to show that different is beautiful. It's not weird and it should
Yes.
be embraced and seen as beautiful.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you.
And the I know you mentioned what you were working on, because you just
Mhm.
finished up book 3, you said.
Yeah.
For those who are not here at the beginning of the program, can you tell us what you're working on now? And the other thing is, have you considered working in another genre? So I'll give you two.
Oh, that is so interesting. Okay, so book 3, Let's Talk Learning to Bowl, comes out in end of July. It is
Hmm.
halfway done. So please look out on my social media because I'm going to have teases coming up. I'm going to have a cover reveal coming up. I'm going to have
Okay.
a really big giveaway with a coloring book that's all 3 coloring books from each book in one. It's going to be
Oh wow.
special edition, hardcover, limited edition. So please look out on my social media for that. I have a lot more coming. I have a whole other series that's already written about the silly things my cats do that
Oh,
comes out in September. And
okay.
there's going to be another book coming out the end of this year. If I can manage it, I want to get book 4 out by November because it's about holidays. But if not, I have another book. It's a solo book about special needs cats. A beautiful book. Because we
Oh,
also need awareness for that too. That would come out in December instead. So it's going to be one of those. So 3 more books coming out. I also was given by a reviewer the idea to write a companion series, so Let's Talk, that is set in Emma's point of view. It's going to be called Happy Thoughts. That is in the works that I'm working on writing now. And
okay.
that's going to be Emma narrating, and it's going to be
Mhm.
all different social events. And
Oh,
that will
wonderful.
be hopefully get book 1 out within the next year and a half. So lots of
Wonderful.
really fun things
There's a
working
lot going on. You have a lot going on, Lisa. We have to
on.
tune in and get your information so we can keep apprised of when and where to go get the books.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
lots of fun things. I have lots of events coming up. I have a bunch of library events. I have a school reading coming up.
Mhm.
More events in the fall, So please follow my social media. Please follow my website, the No Limits podcast. New episode comes out next week with Sivon Hong. Please tune in for that. Please check out my other guests. So lots of really, really fun, cool things coming out. And like I said too, I shout out other authors. I share their stuff. So please check out my social media to find these amazing other authors. And you can find your new favorite series there too.
Absolutely. Excellent. Excellent. So before we go, I usually ask this. So, pen and paper, or do you use a computer?
Oh my gosh, it's so funny because growing up writing, I hated using a computer. I would always do pen and paper. And then I guess just because, and I still like have an obsession with pens. I don't know what it is. I kind of love collecting pens.
It
Um,
must be the writer thing because I can't show.
See, like my purse is filled, and then I have pens for marketing. Like, even if it doesn't work, and if it's like a unique, cool pen, I keep it
Yes,
in my purse. It's so weird, like the bottom of my purse.
yes, yes,
There's nothing like that feel in your hand,
yes,
but
yes.
nowadays everything's digital, so now it's all computer.
Okay. I'm a pen and paper. I start with a pen and paper and then I
Yeah.
go to the computer. When I
Oh,
start editing, I
very
go to the computer
interesting.
after I've gotten it. I have tons and tons and tons of notebooks all
Oh
over the place. I
wow.
always have a notebook in my bag. So I'll
Yeah.
scribble stuff down. But definitely pen and paper to computer. But we're almost at the end of the show.
Oh
But
wow.
before we go, I
Ah,
want to be able to for you to tell us where we can find you,
absolutely.
where or so just rattle off your information so we can get to you, Lisa. We have people who want to meet you, talk to you.
Please do. Please reach out. So my website is www.lisaJauthor.com. My email, I am currently switching from that email to a new one, but you can still absolutely reach me on ljayauthor@gmail.com. I'm only switching slowly. And then that is my current phone number. I'm also switching slowly. This was in the last month that I'm switching to the work number, but you can still absolutely reach me at 848-391-4588. My Facebook and my Instagram are both Books by Lisa Jacovsky. And I do have a Twitter. It's Lisa Child Books. I am very active, more so on my Instagram and Twitter, but I, of course, share everything on my Facebook too. And I'm very interactive. I respond to comments, messages, I share everybody's stuff. So please come talk to me. It's really fun. I comment back and forth with my author friends. I love promoting other people and what they're doing. So please come hang out, talk to me, interact, and check out some other authors.
Wonderful, wonderful. And tell us about your podcast again, because that's very
Oh,
interesting.
yeah.
I'm very excited about that.
Thank you. My podcast is called No Limits with Lisa Jacovsky. You can find it everywhere that has podcasts. It's also on my website. I also share the free link. I share the Spreaker link on all of my social media. but you can still find it on Spotify, Apple, it's on iHeartRadio. There's like 10 or 12 places it's on. So I share like the Spreaker one because that's just the easiest one. That's the one that hosts it. But my podcast has a lot of interviews with authors and organizations making a difference in this world that I'm in right now. And I have some information on there about my journey as an author. I have information on there about sensory processing disorder. So please come check it out. Have a listen, download it. It's free. It's totally free. It's super short. It's anywhere from 20 minutes to 30-minute episodes.
Okay.
My few earlier ones are longer because I learned along the way. Sometimes you can't help finding a new friend and an author, and they're a little longer, but you can skip past things. It's okay. So please check out No Limits with Lisa Jacovsky. It's so much fun. I have such an amazing time doing it. And I really hope you find an organization you can join, a new favorite author. They all love hearing from you. Everyone I interview, so if you have questions, feel free to reach out to them. Check out the latest interviews with Hillary Sussman. Her books are incredible. They're about a special needs dog with 3 legs, Little Miss Roxy. They're
Oh,
adorable, so sweet and inspiring. And she even wants to donate to organizations for that promote tripods. So please check her out and her Adventures of Roxy. I love her books. And Sivan Hong comes out next week, who is also neurodivergent and such a sweetheart. I love her books too. So please come check it out. Keep up with me. And I thank you all so much for your support and checking everything out. Hope you enjoy it all.
yes. Thank you again, Lisa, for being here. We
So
really
much,
appreciate
Renee.
you
Oh, it's
sharing
amazing.
with us. And to find out more about Lisa, you can definitely visit her website. I'm just going to put that up again. She's at
Yeah.
lisaJauthor.com. She has her email address, but even if her email changes, definitely reach out to get to her website because you can definitely get all your information there. And you'll definitely connect with her. As she says, she does readings, she does school visits. So
And
if you
virtual.
want, and
And
definitely done
virtual. I've done
and
in
virtual.
California and I've done Pennsylvania. So I
And
will absolutely do your state.
yes, so Josette, thank you so much for being a part of
Yeah,
our
thank
show
you.
and being so interactive and communicating with us. We appreciate you being here, and I hope you're able to connect with Lisa. I think you guys
Me
have
too.
a common ground that you can have a conversation on. So we really appreciate you. Thank you so much again, Lisa. And
Thank
if
you so
you're an
much,
author,
Renee.
thank you for being here.
Oh, of
Um,
course.
if you're an author and you would like to be a part of our Author Speaks, please visit us at iabx.org. We are booking now for October, November, and December. We still have a few spots left. So definitely sign up. We appreciate, all the authors. And really our goal here is to make sure that the authors have a platform to share their work, just as Lisa is doing with her podcast, No Limits with Lisa Jacovsky. We're also trying to do the same thing here with our authors. So we just thank you. And Josette says, you're welcome. I will definitely. So you please look out, Lisa, for Josette's
Oh,
email,
good.
call, text.
Yeah, I look forward to it. Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes. So thank you again. And if you have any questions, please reach out. We appreciate you stopping by. And
Thank you.
again, we have our book expo coming up. And that's the
Yeah,
ninth annual
it's
Independent Authors Book
fun.
Expo. Cannonball into Literacy, Dive into a Good Book. That's Saturday, August 6th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Linden Public Library in Linden, New Jersey. So please come on down, be a part of the celebration. It's going to be another great event. Anyways, we are at the end of our show, but thank you again, Lisa, and we hope to
Yeah.
see you again when you get the second book out, or no, the third book out.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
will
we want to hear
totally
about
come
it.
back. Oh
Yeah,
my
we
gosh,
want to
I
hear
have so
about
much
it.
to talk about.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So we thank you again, and take care and be well.
Thank you all. Bye.
Bye.